Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. First off, I just want to say welcome aboard. Thank you, everybody, for making this investment for the system. And, I think that this is going to be the biggest thing you've done. Actually, I know this is going to be the biggest thing that you've done all year long. Now, for those of you that are live, this is our Christmas Miracle training. Well, this is actually the second part of it. The first part of it was kind of what you watched when you got into this training. For those of you that are watching the recording, I will, be referencing Christmas and stuff like that. So, hey, if you're watching this in July, it's still applicable. So, anyways, we're going to be getting started here in just a second. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm just taking care of a couple of little last-minute things, sending a couple of little messages to let everybody know I am going to be on this webinar, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Somebody asked here, got a couple questions in here. Can we email us? Okay, we're going to go over a lot of stuff today, okay, but we're not going to cover everything you want. Okay, we're going to cover the stuff that we're covering today, and then tomorrow we'll cover the stuff that we're covering tomorrow. So you're going to have to bear with me and show up for every one of these trainings. I promise at the end you're going to have all the pieces, but remember, this is 3 different sessions, and we cannot just go all over the place or we'll get confused, all right? So anyhow, all right, let's go ahead and we're going to dig in. I know there's some people that are still joining us. For those of you that are still joining, and if you get on late, you'll have to watch the replay to catch the first part. Some people asking questions about email. Scott, Amy, Scott says, would you please give us some rules and guidelines to keep our emails from blacklisting us by sending so many? Also, Amy says, can we only email with hot prospect or shows 5,000 email credits? Okay, we're going to get into that. All right, we'll get into all that, but just please, 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 for those of you that are watching this, understand I'm going to be teaching this in a step-by-step type of fashion. When it comes to email, I don't want you to rely 100% on the email portion. That's going all of these tools are going to support each other. Okay, and when we get into the email, which we will talk about some ways to keep yourself from getting blacklisted. We'll talk about some ways to not have to go hog wild with the email. Okay, and also too, just keep in mind those are not limits in the system. Anything you see, those are not limits. Those are just what's included. And then if you want to go above that, there's credit pricing in the system, which we'll get into all that today. We're going to go through the system today. We're going to go through like a whole overview of the system after we go through the training, okay? So is everybody excited? If you're excited, put a 1 in the chat box because I'm stoked. I cannot wait to get going. Awesome. Okay, good. I see lots of happy people in here. And for those of you, like I said, that's watching this live, Merry Christmas. We're getting ready to have a great end of the year, and starting in 2017, you're going to have a really good system to push lots of sales through your business. Okay. All right. So today, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the voicemail and the system overview. Okay. So I'm going to literally go through lots of important stuff here in the beginning. So you want to make sure you watch the screen and keep notes. Because this is stuff that it's going to be important for your business. I'm trying to lay the groundwork right away, the foundation, so that way when you go into this, you're not going to have any questions. You're going to know specifically what you're doing. Okay. Yeah, Mark. We'll get into stuff like that. That's going to be like day 2 or day 3. I 100% don't know. I have to look at my training, but just make sure you're here for everything. Okay, so what are we going to cover? And guys, by the way, I know you're all going to have questions. Let's keep your questions on topic through the rest of these 3 days. Keep your questions on topic. I know you've got all kinds of things going through your mind. I'm going to do everything I can to go through all those things. And if I don't answer them on the last day, well then, you know, that's your opportunity lay it on me, and then I'll do everything I can on that last day to finalize it and, you know, leave you guys completely solid. Okay? Cool. And no need to apologize, Mark. I'm just saying that up front because I want everybody to understand. I want to answer all your questions, but we've got to stay on topic, okay? All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover, first off, knowing the rules so you could stay compliant. It's very important. Yes, Eric, we are going to log into Hot Prospector. That's where the bottom one is, and I'll get to it, okay? So knowing the rules. Boy, you guys are so excited. This is awesome. Yes, Ishwar, I'm going to show my screen. Don't worry. Yes, I am. Calm down, guys. Relax. I got you covered. Oh, boy. If we were in a room right now, I'd have to put muzzles on you guys and tie you to your seats. You guys are, like, too excited. All right. So first off, we're going to go into knowing the rules, and so you can stay compliant. It's very important. Compliance is important for your business. You want to make sure that you don't do anything that could cause you to ever have this taken away from you, and also other people. We want everybody to stay compliant because we don't ever want to have anybody here doing something that could cause all of us to suffer, right? Everybody here promise you're going to stay compliant? You want to know these rules and stay compliant? Yes? Okay, that's an easy one. Number two, we're going to get into targeting. We're going to talk about some of the most profitable niches. I'm also going to just target niches in general, or give you some different ideas of niches in general that you could think of, or just to give you some ideas. All right, and none of these are like 100%. You know, this is all I do. You know, I'll get into some of the stuff that I do, you know, later on in this training. Next, we're going to talk about how to craft a winning message. And when I say winning, I mean winning is getting a response. Okay. We're going to go into voicemail marketing campaign ideas. That's right. When I say ideas, that means you're going to have the ability to control your destiny with the system. So that means if you want to do things the way I do them, you could do them the way I do them. If you want to tweak them just a little bit, you can. I seriously suggest you try to keep stick with one, right? Find something, stick with it for a while, because as with marketing, anybody here has ever sold marketing to businesses? Who here has sold marketing to businesses? Put a one in the chat box. If you're selling marketing to businesses, whether it's websites or whatever, okay, good. Then you know this rule, and if you don't, take note of this as something you want to keep. Make sure your customers know. Marketing doesn't happen overnight, 2 days, 3 days, whatever. In order to get a good idea if something is working, they have to do it for weeks, months, right? Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you that long to get a response. I'm just saying don't start switching stuff up every day, because then you're gonna get yourself frustrated. So stick with an idea and don't move it around, okay? And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do over the shoulder campaign setup. That was almost a tongue twister, okay? When I do that over the shoulder campaign setup, I'm going to open up my screen, and I mean, I'm literally going to show you the inside of the system. We're going to walk through the whole deal, and I'm going to give you the what I would do scenario. Okay, because you can go in here and it's just like, hey, turn on the fire hose, open up your mouth, you know, and try to take a drink. It's not going to happen. Okay, you want to go in here with the you know, a laser focus. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and later you can get into all the other stuff, and it won't feel so much like you're drinking from a fire hose. You'll be really good. It took me a while, you know, to where I can buzz through it as fast as I do now, and I even developed it. Okay, when I say a while, I mean a few weeks, okay? So for right now, we're going to focus on getting you guys just using the system to the way it's going to generate you some calls and you can get some business. And then you can learn how to get even more awesome with the system. Does that sound exciting? Is everybody stoked, ready to go? Yes? Okay, good. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, what is voicemail marketing? Well, in order to explain what voicemail marketing is, I'd like to first say what it is not. It is not an auto dialer. We're not using an auto dialer. So for anybody who maybe has any concerns about, you know, using any kind of voice broadcast type of situation, this is not auto dialing. This is not voice broadcasting. You're not dialing somebody's phone, okay? You're literally dropping a message into their phone voicemail without calling them, okay? This is TCPA compliant. I'm going to get into what is TCPA in just a minute. Some of you may have never even heard of that acronym, but it stands for Telephone Consumer Protection Act. It's something we're going to get into in just a second. Okay. And really what we're trying to do with voicemail marketing is we're trying to induce a response. That's it. Okay, we're not trying to generate a sale on the call. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that. Somebody walked into my office. We don't want to, we want to induce a response. We're not trying to get a sale, okay? You cannot get a sale from a voicemail. Somebody's not going to call you back with their credit card in their hands because you left them a voicemail. Now, I know that sounds silly, but I want everybody here to just go ahead and type something in the chat box right now and say, you know, I understand, okay? Because if you go into it knowing that this is just to induce a response, it's going to help you come up with better ideas of what kind of a voicemail you need to induce the response. Nothing else but that, okay? All right. So what is the TCPA? Like I said before, it's the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. This was enacted in 1991. Okay, it's been around for a long time. And what it's supposed to do is protect you, the consumer, not the business, but the consumer, from unwanted calls, right? Nobody likes getting bombarded with phone calls in the middle of the night. And specifically, they're looking for robocalls. They're looking for auto dialers and predictive dialers and text messaging, okay? Those are the things that the TCPA really watches for, okay? Or the FCC, who governs that. This October 16th, 2013, there was something that was put into act which really changed everything, and this is why we got away from robocalls. I'm mentioning this because I used to use the voice broadcast, you know, the ones where you get the call, press 1 for you know, to talk to somebody, that kind of thing. You know, you get a call that says, hi, would you like to get a Google, would you like to get your Google listing to the top of Google, press 1 right now, that kind of thing. Those are, you know, they've made a lot of changes that makes that so difficult to stay within compliance, so we just got rid of it. And that happened in October of 2013. So, you know, you got to have prior express written consent. And when I say written, it doesn't have to be like, you know, signed in, you know, in ink. It has to be something that comes from like a website, or, you know, it could be digitally or in person, but it has to be, you know, clear consent from them to you. Someone says double opt-in. No. Double opt-in, that would actually be for SMS. And again, those are the things that matter when it comes to voice, you know, voice broadcasting and text messaging. When it comes to voicemail, we're not calling them. We're dropping the message in their phone without calling them. It's a really cool technology. It literally triggers their voicemail without them getting a phone call. You know, there's no cost for the call. There's all these benefits that we have, which makes it really powerful, you know, for what we're doing. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everything is clear. Yes, this is going to be recorded, Mark. We're recording it. Okay, so that's the TCPA. What is the TSR? Anyone here know what the TSR is? I'd like to see if I have anybody in here who's got the who's hip to the acronyms. Anyone know what TSR is? Got lots of no's. Oh boy. Okay, it's the telemarketing sales rule. Okay, the telemarketing sales rule. Now this is managed by the FTC. Okay, this was issued in 1995. And basically what the TSR is it's meant to prohibit misrepresentations on the phone, right? I don't want people lying and stuff like that. It also sets limits to the times of calls to consumers. Now, I've never seen anything that says you couldn't call a business after 9 or before 8 because it says it's for consumers. but there's really no point in dialing a business before 8 or after 9 most of the time, unless it's like a contractor or something like that, or somebody you have a customer, a relationship with, and they are okay with those kind of calls. But specifically to the time, I personally don't go outside of those ranges, okay? Prohibits calls to consumers who asked not to be called. So this is where the DNC comes into place, the do not call list. If somebody says, hey, put me on your do not call list, and you're calling consumers, you have to maintain the do not call list. Now, if you're doing business to business, really there's no rule that says you have to, but you should, because you don't want to be calling people anyways, you don't want to hear from you. They also set payment restrictions for certain goods and services, which we won't get into, okay? Now, it's your job to know the laws, okay? I'm not trying to give you legal advice. I'm not an attorney. This is just my explanation to you, so you know going into this that this is what you're looking at. Now, if you're strictly business to business, there's not going to be any problems, but I just want you to understand the rules. Everybody cool? Awesome. Okay. Now, some things to keep in mind. There are no DNC for B2B. There is no federal do not call list for B2B. But I personally always honor my opt-out and DNC requests. If somebody asks to be, especially, okay, 100%. Now, if you're doing a text message, which is some of the things that we're going to talk about, okay, in this training, you have to listen to those opt-outs. You have to, because that is not a business number, even though it is even though it is a business line, if you're able to text to it, you still need to honor the DNC request. Okay, and also you need to make sure that you're not calling people who are on the do not call list and texting people on the do not call list if you're contacting a business owner on their cell phone. Okay, something to keep in mind, because you do fall within TCPA if you're calling them or texting them on their cell phone. Now, my suggestion is just scrub the list and just be good with it. You'll never have to worry if you do that. Okay? Tony says, how about real estate agents on their cell phone? Same thing. If you're calling a real estate agent who advertises their cell phone number as their business line, it does not give us permission to contact them. I know that stinks, but that's just the way it is. If that real estate agent put their number on the do not call list, then you can scrub them. There's a service you can sign up for. It's called dnc.com. In the future, we're going to be offering a scrubbing service through our system. I'm hoping to have that in sometime in the first part of the year, okay, first part of January. It's not hard for you to do it, though. If you go to dnc.com, you can just scrub your list. It's pretty simple, okay? Okay, and the last things, or these other two things here, call only between 8 and 9, and do not send text broadcasts to non-subscribers, okay? So this is the rule when it comes to texting. You can text somebody, okay, let me clearly say what the law says, okay? The law says that you cannot send unsolicited text messages using an auto dialer. Okay, so it does not say you cannot send unsolicited text messages. It says you cannot send unsolicited text messages with an auto dialer. So you can send manual text messages to somebody who's not subscribed. And that's the way you want to do this when you're doing your prospecting. It takes a little bit more time, but I promise you it is 100% so worth it, okay, because your response on these campaigns is going to be amazing, okay? Okay, so now that that's all covered, you guys ready to make some money? Okay, good. I don't want everybody don't get caught up in the monotony of the stuff that I just covered. I know that it's just, I like to cover it and get it out of the way first so we can move on and get into the fun stuff. Okay, that's just stuff that you should know. Everybody should know that, but don't let it scare you. Just protect yourself. That's all. Look, and just so you know, I'm doing hundreds of thousands of messages and calls and voicemails and all this stuff a month for not just myself, but for all my customers. Okay? And if there's going to be anything that you had to be concerned about, you would have heard it here first. There are other people out there that do teach some of this information that will not teach you what I just taught you because they don't really know themselves. You should never listen to somebody who tells you to voicemail, send text messages, or do any kind of calling without explaining to you what I just explained first, because they don't have your business or your interest at heart. Okay? They don't care, and their business is not really in this business. Okay? So I just want to make sure that we clear that up. Now let's move forward. Okay, so let's talk about who is your target. Okay, who is your target? Well, first off, this is not a shotgun. This is a sniper tool. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, with a shotgun, you fire a bullet and it sprays, so you can hit you can hit a big, huge area with one bullet, right? With being a sniper, you want to hit that red dot every time, okay? That's the way I want you to think about this. You want to look at this as an approach as like, I'm not just trying to pray and spray, right? I'm trying to hit my exact button every single time. Number one, that's going to make it so you don't have to do lots of wasteful marketing, prospecting, okay? It's going to give you much better response from the people that you're targeting because you know what their problems are. Okay, you know what they need. So the next thing after or the first thing really you have to do is pick a niche, maybe two. Okay, when I say a niche, I mean like a specific type of business that you want to target. And when I target a business, I like to make sure I know everything about that business. If you already identify with that niche, for example, if you have some experience in real estate and you just feel like, you know what, real estate is what I want to go after. I know this is the niche that's for me. I know their pain. I know their problems. I know all those things. That's what you should stick with. All right? If you don't identify with the niche, you're not going to get the same results that you can get. So, for example, I work with car dealerships and I work with mortgage lenders. Those are my two favorite. Now, I didn't know car dealerships up until about 9 months ago, but I learned it and I stick with it now. I also deal with some contractors here and there. I used to deal with them a lot more in the past, but I've moved on to different things, and I just don't target them so much. But when you stick with a niche, you're going to get a lot better success than if you just try different stuff, if you just get a list of just any kind of business. Yes, I do have a mortgage background, Mike, and it does help. No, I don't think it's a saturated market at all. It's better than real estate. So let me just quickly, does everybody understand what I mean by this? Do you understand why you should just pick a niche? Pick a niche. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing, okay? Don't think, well, is dentist the most profitable niche? It's not about that. You want to think, and I'll get into some ideas of how you can help pick the right niche, but it's not just about like who makes the most money. That is part of it, but it's how you're going to be able to help them. And if you can identify them and you understand their pains and their problems, it's going to be a lot better. So, what's your background? What did you do in the past? What are you involved in now? What are you excited about? Those are some things that helps me identify with the niche. What is the bleeding neck? Do you know what the bleeding neck is? Okay. So you find those things and you identify with them on that level, you're gonna be so much more successful because of that. Okay, Eric, that's an off-topic conversation, but we'll get into it at some point. Okay, so here's some examples. Contractors, right? So you can go after contractors. GCs are general contractors. General contractors do, usually they get the job from, the bigger job, and then they sub it out, pieces of the job. Maybe one person to do the framing, one person to do the concrete, the plumbers, the electricians, all that good stuff. That's a general contractor. A roofer, obviously, they do roofing. Plumbers, electricians, concrete, landscaping, handyman. Those are some examples of contractors. Now, I'm going to tell you, I like a lot of the niches that I'm showing you here because you're going to be able to deliver a voicemail to them a lot easier because their phone number most likely goes directly to them. Okay, realtors, insurance agents, appraisers, florists, locksmiths, towing companies, auto repair, tune and loop, and then also small restaurants, like I mentioned here. Now, these are all different types of businesses that you can go after that can use your web services business. Somebody mentioned chiropractor. Sure. You know. So there's all different sorts of businesses that you can be, targeting. I specifically just want you to focus on one or two niches. And it's going to make things better. Your website will be better. Your marketing materials will be better. Your email campaigns, your voicemails, everything is going to be better. Okay? Everything's going to be better because you're targeting that one or two niches. Yes, Alvin, the slides are going, and I'm not sure why you're not seeing them. Maybe you want to close and open this. Something might be wrong with your browser, but everybody sees the slides, right? Yeah, slides are going, so you're probably having a computer issue. Okay, next is location, leads, and time. Okay, so when I'm targeting, okay, remember, who here lives in a small city? Brick says me, some people, okay, yeah. Okay, good. So for those of you that live in a small city, okay, do not, this is, maybe this is just preference for me, but I'm telling you, if you want to have a big, successful business, you got to be willing to venture outside of your little small town. And don't be afraid of the phone. This system that you're getting is not for a small town. This is for you to drive outside your state, outside of where you're normally doing business, and go outside and get more business. Look, here's what I love about the phone. It's an equalizer. I'm just as powerful as a Fortune 500 company. And hey, if the market is soft where you're at, like here in Vegas, sometimes I feel like people here are just cheap and they don't want to make any investments in their business. Great. I can call into a company who's in a different city or state who's not in the same market, right? So it's a very huge advantage that you have. So if you're going to market, you got to think big. Think, how do I get out to the masses? And that's what this system and tool is going to do for you, okay? So some cities and locations to target. Think about cities that are over $100,000 or 100,000 and above, 100,000 population and above. Okay, I put a list at mark-helton.com/cities, so you can download that list and it'll show you, all of the cities above 100,000 in population. Any English-speaking country and 100,000 plus cities. Yeah, basically. Okay, you can target, and that's another thing. Yeah, Bill brought up a good point. You don't have to just focus on the U.S. too. A lot of our guys here that are in the U.S., did you know that the market in Canada is so wide open and easy to sell because most of our Canadian friends are not really that aggressive. So, hey, why not? Call Canada. For those of you that are in Canada and you're hearing this, I'm getting everybody to stomp on your territory. Hey, and also Australia. Australia is another great market. United Kingdom's good, And hey, by the way, okay, just something to keep in mind. If you have another job, you may be forced to work in Australia because of their time zones. So I actually hear that from people sometimes. They're like, well, I just can't make this work. I already have a full-time job. No, you decided you didn't want to make this work because you have a full-time job and you're lazy. Because somebody who's not lazy will work 16 to 20 hours a day, right? The definition or the reason why I'm an entrepreneur and I work really, really hard right now is because, you know, I'm working harder than everybody else right now, so later on in my life I can live like nobody else. I think Dave Ramsey says that. It's true. Don't be lazy. You got to work hard if you want to get what you don't have. And if you hear me tell you that and you get frustrated by hearing it, well then shame on you. Why are you even wasting your time on this training? Because you're not going to be successful if that's the way you think, period. All right, so get over it and just realize, you know what, honey, husband, wife, whatever, say, I'm going to work 8 hours after I get home from work. If you got a job, I'm going to work 8 hours. I'm going to go into the room, I'm going to close the door, and I'm going to work just like I have another job. Don't go get another job because you don't have enough money. Work this. And if you can't work here in the United States, go work in Australia because of the time zone, because they're, you know, way ahead of us, and you can work in the right time zone in a different country, okay? I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I really had to say that because people act like they just can't make it happen, but there's plenty of opportunity here, okay? All right, best times to make, getting leads versus scraping, okay? Now, something to keep in mind, I gave you guys a tool to get leads, and it's going to work fine. It's going to get you emails, it's going to get your phone numbers and stuff like that. If you're looking for specifics, like going after certain types of niches and stuff like that, you can buy leads. We also sell leads, and I don't have the link up here. It's mark-helton.com/leads if you ever want to purchase leads, okay? Just something to consider. But you can get those, mark-helton.com/leads. You got the hot lead finder to scrape leads if you want, but if you ever wanted to buy leads because you're looking for a specific type of thing that you're just having trouble getting, you can hit us up there. Best times to make calls, contractors, 8 to 10 and 6 to 8. Reason why I have those two broken up is because during the middle of the day, usually they're real busy, but I found that in the morning and later in the evening, they're really open. And late, like I said, 6 to 8. These guys work hard. They're not lazy. Restaurants, 10 a.m. to 11:30, 2 p.m. to 4. Just use your judgment when you're thinking, when am I going to call these companies? Use your judgment. If I'm going to send out a voicemail, do I want to get the best response? Yeah. Okay. We'll do it during this time. If I'm going to send an email, I want them to read it during, 8 to 10. Well, I'm going to make sure it's in their inbox by 7. Make sense? Cool. Is everybody getting some good stuff out of this? If you are, great. If not, don't tell me. I'm joking. All right. Demographics. What demographics should you go after? Now, myself, I'm always trying to sell as little as possible because when I say little, I don't mean volume money-wise. I mean as many little deals as possible. Why? Well, because it's just as hard to sell one $5,000 deal than it is to sell one $500 deal. Yeah, I just said that. I'm going to say it again, okay? It's just as hard to go and find a $5,000 deal as it is to find a $500 deal. So it's the same thing. It's just one more zero. So if you're going to spend a bunch of time and money and effort, right, going after a deal, then why not go after the one that's going to pay you the most? Makes sense, right? If that makes sense, put a 1 in the chat box. Exactly. Lots of ones. Right. Why? Because people that are willing to invest $500 a lot of times are willing to invest $5,000 if you ask the right questions. Okay. And in business, $5,000 is a very small investment. It really is. $5,000 is a very small investment. Who here consistently is getting $5,000 for their services? Put a 1 in the chat box. If you'd like to start getting $5,000 for your services, put a 2 in the chat box. So first of all, we got the high ticket versus high profit. So again, I'm going after those guys. I'm going after roofers. I'm going after jewelers. I'm going after even like mortgage brokers, real estate agents, even life insurance agents. You know, if I'm going to go after insurance, I'm going after the insurance agents that make the most money. I'm not going to go after the insurance agents that are barely getting by, like ones that are selling health right now, right? I'm going after the big boys and girls, okay? Looking for people who may have at least one or they have more than one employee, actually 2 to 10 employees, right? The sole proprietors are okay, you know, as well, but only if they hit this high ticket, high profit demographic. Okay, and this is hard to read because it looks like an I, but this is 1 degree of separation, and I'm talking about the voicemail receiver. So when you're dropping a voicemail, you want to have 1 degree of separation between the person who listens to the voicemail and makes the decision. So, you know, and most of the time you're going to have that. It's not going to be a problem because people that you're going to be dropping the voicemails to, it's probably going to go to their cell phone, or it's probably going to go to their landline that's a voice over IP type landline. Okay? All right. So let's talk about writing effective scripts. Now I'm going to give you my message, okay, and just here in a second, but this is my tips for writing an effective script if you're going to tweak it or do anything to it, okay? First of all, remember the 10 and 30-second rules. The 10-second rule is literally if you start to listen to a voicemail or you get a phone call, it's really less than 10 seconds. It's like 8 seconds. You have like 8 seconds to get the right tonality, you know, certain things like that coming out of your voice before they just delete the voicemail or hang up on you, okay? If you have the first 8 seconds of your message wrong, then it doesn't matter what you say from, you know, 9, 10, and on, all the way up to 30 seconds or, you know, 45 seconds. If you don't have the first 10 seconds good, then forget about it. It's just like a web page. If you go to a website and you open it up and the headline's wrong, you move on. Okay, it's the exact same thing. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you do everything you possibly can in the very beginning to get their attention with tonality. Tonality is the biggest important thing. What I mean is like sound, you know, like we're going to get into like how to record it, but you don't want to sound like you're a salesperson in the first 8 seconds. You want to be intriguing. You don't want to sound like a dum-dum either, okay? So just, you know, just keep that in mind. The next thing is cheese and whiskers. Cheese and whiskers is, you know, is a marketing method that I'm not sure 100% who started, but I was doing it and didn't even know it was called cheese and whiskers, and now I put cheese and whiskers because it's cool. I like the name. But basically, you are trying to put out the cheese. Yeah, Dean Jackson, I know, talks about it, Ben, but I don't know if he's the guy who put it out. I don't know. Anyways, but cheese is, you know, is the bait, basically, and, you know, you're trying to get the mouse to come get the cheese without them sensing the whiskers, without them sensing you're a cat. And the message you're writing has to be, you know, falling within that guideline. Don't ever use any kind of an offer in your message. Don't say, hi, my name is John with ABC Website Development, and I would like to sell you a website. Today our special deal is $1,500 for a 5-page website. We'll write all the content. We'll take care of all of your backlinking. You're going to love our website. We've been around for 15 years, and we're A+ rated members of the Better Business Bureau. Call me today at 555-1212. Right? I mean, that sounds like a commercial, flat out. If you got a call off of that, some people are like, wow, that's great copy. Yeah, right. I mean, nobody's going to respond to that because why? They know 100% that you're trying to sell them something they may not be interested in. Now, if you use the cheese and whiskers approach, which is the message we like to use, hey, this is Mark with Hot Prospector. I was just wondering if you might be able to take on some extra customers right now. If so, could you please give me a call back? My phone number is 555-1212. Again, call me as soon as you get this, 555-1212. Sounds like a regular old message, and what is that? Somebody who's looking for more business when they call. So it doesn't matter if you're selling them a website. It doesn't matter if you're selling them services for SEO. It doesn't matter if you're selling them leads. It doesn't matter. What is it? It's all the same. What's the bottom line? These people that are in business to what? To make money. They're not coming there every day to just make friends with people. So if you leave them a message which is, hey, would you like to make some more money? They're going to hear that and they're going to respond. Does everybody agree? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, like I said, don't make it about selling them something. Be creative. Be different. And if you know when you're writing this message what their bleeding neck is, which 99% of the time, is, well, not 99% of the time, but at least 90% of the time is profit. They're not making enough profit. Okay? If your method is, helping somebody save time, well, that's fine too, but you got to come up with a way to do it. Okay? Now, when you do this, first you want to write it, and I usually just use plain old Notepad to write it, and you'll see if it's more than 3 lines in Notepad, then it's too long. Okay? Then record it. Recording it, I use Audacity. We're going to go into that in a little bit. And then listen to it, and then test it. Test it on a small group. If you're doing something, and you want to see if it's working, you're going to have to test it. You're going to have to test it. You're going to have to test it. Okay? So some recording techniques for your voicemail. Number 1, make your message sound natural. If you remember the first message that I was just goofing around and said what I said, it sounded like a commercial. And believe it or not, I've been doing this for a long time now, and many years. I've taught this method to people, and what's funny is I hear the same thing even when I say not to do it. I get people say, hey, Mark, what do you think of this message? And, it's just a variation of the first one. It still sounds like a commercial. Hi, this is John calling with Hot Prospector. I was wondering if you'd be interested in some more customers. Call me today. I mean, seriously? That's not how you want to talk to somebody. And yeah, maybe you think that sounds exciting, but you sound like a salesperson. And I'm not going to call you back because my radar goes off, and I know this guy's trying to sell me something, and I don't want to talk to him, right? That doesn't mean that I wouldn't talk to him if I got on the phone with him. It means I don't want to call him back because I'm busy. I'm doing other stuff, right? What you're trying to do is weed through their radar, get under the radar basically, and then get them to pick up the phone and call you because they have time to call because they're calling at that time, and have an opportunity to pitch your service. Not get somebody calling you back saying, I'm 100% interested in what you've got. Tell me about it. That's what you're looking for. This isn't going to be what you're looking for. You're not going to get that off of voicemail, okay? You're just not, okay? Number 3 here, this is a big one. Say the phone number in the beginning. I like it. I really, really like saying the phone number in the beginning, even though the message is going to, or the phone number is going to have the caller ID, or the caller ID is going to show the phone number. It makes them, it's triggering something right away, like this is something important that I got to call, rather than a sales call. So say that number early on in the beginning, then give your call to action, and then repeat the number again 2 more times at the end. Okay, those are some ways that I write it. So here's a script example. You guys can go ahead and screenshot this if you'd like. Hi, this is Mark with Hot Prospector. By the way, you've got to put your name and your company in the message. That's required. TCPA requires it, TSR, whatever. They both require it, okay? My number is 555-1212. Hey, look, I was wondering if you could take on some more clients. Now, I notice I have clients, customers, patrons, etc. Here's where you're going to customize your message depending on who you're targeting. So if you're targeting, a contractor, you might say jobs. If you're targeting, a restaurant, you might say patrons or something like that, or guests. Right? Just think about who you're targeting when you fill in that blank right there. Okay? So hey, this is Mark with Hot Prospector. My number is 555-1212. Look, I was wondering if you could take on some more clients right now. I'd say between 5 and 10 this month. Now, again, here, this is also going to be depending upon really what you think you can provide for them. Don't say, I could bring you 100 clients if you can't. Okay? Because then you're going to look like a scammer when you get on the phone with them and they're like, well, where's those 100 clients? Okay? If you're contacting a restaurant or something like that, don't put, I can bring you three new patrons or 3 new guests, because they're not going to listen. If you have a method, a way to generate them, put seats in their, or put butts in their seats, then, put that in there. Okay, but this line right here is powerful. It really gets them thinking, wow, okay, I gotta get on the phone with this guy, okay, or gal. By the way, if I say guy, that just, I mean, it's never meant to, I'm not trying to count any of my lady friends out. It's just everybody's guys. Matter of fact, I got a lot of friends that are girls, and I call them dude by mistake all the time, only because I get excited. I'm like, dude. Anyways, but I digress. If you're not too busy, give me a call back at 555-1212. Again, this is Mark, and my number is 555-1212. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Cool? That's it. Somebody says, what would the script be when marketing to homeowners soliciting for refinance? Nice try, Edward. That's completely off topic. I mean, you can think based off of what I just mentioned what that would be, but again, this is targeting, this is targeting businesses. All righty then. Okay, so for best results, number one, use the recording software Audacity. I used to say use a recording software like that, but you know what? Just use Audacity. It's free, and it's the best. Okay, you can get it at mark-helton.com/Audacity, or you can go to Google and just type in Audacity and hope you find the right link that's not going to be some kind of a virus site or something like that. Download it and install it on your computer, plug in your mic, and voila, you've got yourself a really cool tool to download MP3 or to record MP3s and waves. To do the MP3s, you're going to have to add like some it's called LAME, I guess, LAME. They prompt you to do it if you're recording an MP or if you're exporting to MP3. But anyways, you're going to want to make sure that your audio file sounds clean. I mean, no static and stuff like that. And record it at 8,000 kilohertz in mono. Okay, that's a setting. Matter of fact, I'll just pop open Audacity here so you can see. For those of you that's never used Audacity, man, welcome to my world. I love this tool. Okay, this is Audacity, and here's the hertz. So if I just select 8,000 hertz and then hit the record button, it's recording me right now, blah, blah, blah. I hit stop. I can listen to it. I can delete parts that I don't like, and then I can export it when I'm done. Just name it, save, we're done. That's it. It's very easy. Why 8,000 hertz? Because it's going over the phone, and 8,000 hertz is for the phone. If you're going to do like, something for your computer or, you want high quality audio, then you're going to use the 40, whatever that was, the 44,000 or 48,000. Those are the two that typically like CD quality. But 8,000 hertz is for the phone. Okay? I mean, when you answer the phone, you don't hear high def audio, right? The phone is like mono and, there's no stereo and none of that stuff. So you want to record it and in that same level. Okay? And yeah, listen to the message before you just export it and put it into your system, because if it sounds like crap, then, they're going to be like, what is this? And, you don't need anything fancy. I use a Logitech mic. Actually, now I don't. I've got all the sophisticated audio equipment here. I've got, right now I'm on my Sennheiser Office Runner, which is a really awesome headset. I can walk. This is not a pitch for Sennheiser, but man, they're awesome. I can walk like 400 feet from my office. Like in my office complex that I'm in, it's like a big square building, like a tall, like mid-rise building, and it's got concrete and all that stuff. I can walk outside of my office to the front of the building and go check my mail, okay, on a phone call. So it's pretty cool. And you want to have a headset that's comfortable. This is a good headset. It's an over-the-ear one side thing. And then again, I'm only saying this stuff. It's not meant to go out and pitch for these guys, but if you're going to be sitting on the phone, man, might as well have a good headset. Yeah, Anna says it's like $300. It is like $300, but guess what? I went through so many headsets until I bought this headset. I burned probably, $300 in a year on headsets, and I've had this headset for like almost 5 years. And I will never use another headset besides. Actually, my battery finally died on this, and I just bought a replacement battery for like $20. It's called Sennheiser. Matter of fact, let's see here. I'll see if I can show you guys real quick. You can get it on Amazon, but the one I use is SENN, Sennheiser Office Runner. And this is it right here. Okay, so you can get them on, depending on where you get it, headsets.com has it for $329. Make sure that if you get it, it has the base and the headset. Because I thought I was getting a deal, and I bought just the headset. It was like 100 and some bucks. I was like, yeah, these guys don't even know that this headset's worth 400 bucks. And then I got the headset. There was no base. So then I had to buy this set again. So now I have two, and that's another cool thing. Now that I have two of these, I'm training people in my office. I can give them a headset, and we can both be on the same base, and they can listen to calls and everything, which is kind of cool. Anyways, I got off topic, but it's just, headset is a very powerful thing. If you don't feel comfortable wearing a headset all day. Matter of fact, I'll walk outside my office sometimes and forget. I got to go back to my office and take my headset off because it's that comfortable. I'm going to lunch with my headset on my face, looking like I'm at the drive-thru. Hey, would you like fries with that? Anyways, next thing, find a quiet room or not. Now, I say that because it depends on who you're calling, and this is kind of like a little, what's the word I'm looking for? This is like a little mind trick that I do. But if I'm calling a contractor or something, I don't mind them hearing, like, I wouldn't mind recording this in my family room with a TV in the background. Can you guess why? Well, because if I said, hey, this is Mark with Hot Prospector, I was wondering if you might be able to handle some extra customers, like maybe 3 or 4, or no, if I'm calling contractors, if you can handle 3 or 4 jobs, give me a call back. And then you hear like the TV and maybe a couple kids talking in the background or something like that. What are they thinking? Ben says it lowers the defenses and resistance. It does. Now, again, that's not going to work with everybody, but they hear that in the background. They're like, they don't think it's a sales call or something, right? So, like, I don't know what it does, but it just works. The conversions go up. And I usually only do that with, contractors or realtors or, like that kind of thing. People who work with a consumer, okay? Uhs and ums are good, okay? South Park reference. Even though I don't really watch South Park, I just remember that song. Drugs are bad, okay? Uhs and ums are good, okay? Why? Well, because it sounds natural. And that goes to this last piece, or this fourth bullet point here, is be natural. You want them to think that it's some dude or girl that or lady that is needing their help calling them, and it's a personal message directly for them, and it's not some broadcast message that was sent to 10,000 people. They're going to hear, and this is what's funny, and I say this here on this last bullet point, because I've actually had people contact me back and say, wow, like they thought I said their name. Like, no, he said my name. Mark asked for me specifically, like that when I'll have the calls going to like a sales team or something. And they're like, no, Mark called and asked for me specifically. Like they thought I said their name. Why? Because the message sounded so much like it was a personal message, they thought I knew who they were. And I'm laughing about that because that's awesome. That's what you want. That's what's going to get you 10%, conversion or response rates to your messages. Most people, just so you know, like if they're lucky, can get 4.7%. That's the national average for a voicemail response. I'm getting 10, 15% all the time. Shoot, I've gotten 20, 30% responses with messages to realtors. Okay, campaign choices. So we're going to get into some ideas here for campaigns, okay? And then we're going to open up the screen here. We're getting close to that part of the call. And I didn't mean for this training to go so long. I was hoping it was going to be short, but I do like to make sure everybody understands everything. So if you're good so far, you're loving what you're hearing and you're getting lots of quality excitement, you're excited about this investment that you've made in your business, put a 1 in the chat box. Oh, I take a drink of water. Okay, good. Lots of good excitement. Great. Boy, you guys are making me feel so good. Okay, so campaign choices. So your first campaign would be to leave a voicemail and then have those responses go directly to you. Now, when I say directly to you, I mean have the calls transferred to your cell phone or your direct line or whatever, and I'm not talking about going through Hot Prospector, okay? You can also take those calls inside a Hot Prospector, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that here in just a minute. Version 2, or option number 2, would be to leave a message and then have the response go to a greeting. And what this does is it leaves the, you're going to have a greeting, and I'm going to show you guys the greeting here in a minute, that gives the client a little more information, so that way they can decide if they're not interested and just hang up. But if they are, they can either stay on the line to be transferred directly to you, or if you want, you can have it set up to where the call goes to voicemail. Okay? Did I lose anybody there? If you got that, if you understand that, just put a 7 in the chat box. If you understand it, put a 7. If you don't, put an 8. Because we're going to show you in just a second. Okay, cool. Everybody's got it. Yeah, it's simple. But those are your two options. So leave a voicemail that goes directly to you. You answer it. And even if you don't answer, if you're on a phone call and the voicemail pops up, you probably want to have a voicemail set up. And what you're going to understand, what you want to understand when you do that, if you do not answer the call, meaning if you think of this like a buffet, don't put on your plate more than you can eat. So don't put out a bunch of voicemails and emails if you cannot handle those calls, because what's going to happen is those people who call and they leave a voicemail, or they call and they got your voicemail and hung up, you're never, most of the time, depending on how hot they are, you're not going to get as much of a response off of those that you would had you answered the phone. Okay? Somebody says hot lead on V2 or lose possible lead. Yeah, on version 2 here of this campaign, right, the option number 2, you can lose hot leads, but if you're not the most amazing salesperson, and you want to find the hot lead, it's a double-edged sword, meaning you're going to spend more money on voicemails and you're going to spend more time sending emails to get these kind of calls that are going to be really hot leads, but it may be worth it if you need a more qualified lead, if that makes sense. You'll have to go through more to find the ones that are really, really interested, but when you do finally get somebody, it's going to be somebody that you're going to talk to that's going to listen, okay? So that's the advantage of that. So some ideas for routing calls. Well, first off, like I said, you can have the calls go straight to voicemail. The second option is to your mobile or landline, which is direct. The third option is to a call queue, and this is for a call group. Now, if you have salespeople, anybody here have salespeople? If you have salespeople, just say yes. If you don't have salespeople, or even if you want to take your calls live, then you would want to set up a call group, which will let you have multiple people receiving calls at the same time, and then whoever answers the call gets the call. Okay? And then the last option here is to have calls routed to a message and then transfer directly to you or to voicemail, which is kind of what we just talked about. So here's the greeting voicemail, the greeting / voicemail. You guys want to take a screenshot of this. And this is an idea for somebody who's selling web services. You can modify this to fit whatever you're doing. Okay. Hi, John. Or hi. Thank you for calling. Actually, this is a typo. Shouldn't say thank you for calling blank. You might want to say, hi, this is Mark. Thank you for calling. Did you know that Google is penalizing sites that are not mobile friendly, and that your company could risk losing your page rankings, or worse yet, never rank on page 1 at all? So there's your problem right up front. Okay. We can help. We'll give you a high-converting, Google-friendly mobile website that will rank you better on Google and get you more customers at zero cost. That's right. Your new mobile site is free. For all the details on how your business can claim its free mobile website, clearly leave your name and phone number after the tone, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Now, or you can have it transfer, and you just say, please hang on for the next available associate. Okay? So Jolynn, first thing I got here was, I don't have free mobile websites to give away. Bam! I love it that you said that, Jolynn. You know why? Because you missed it, and that's great. That means that the people who see this will also miss it. what are we doing here? We're giving them an offer that they cannot refuse. So they hear free, they hear no cost for my mobile website. Great. Here's my name and number. Thank you. Ben says cheese. Exactly. That's what you're doing. This is cheese. Now what's going to happen when you get them on the phone? Well, just so you know, we are going to include this mobile website in your new site absolutely free. Normally, we charge an extra $1,000 for that mobile website. Now do you get it? So you charge what you normally charge for a website, but then you take out the upsell for the mobile, and you're going to give them that. But that's a way to get them to leave their name and number. So does that make sense? Does everybody get that? Put a 1 in the chat box if that makes sense and you get it. Okay, good. Belinda did it 10 times. She really got it. But I mean, it's simple, right? You're not doing anything shady or anything like that. The mobile website is free and it is at zero cost. You're just going to have to invest something with me. I mean, look, this is business and everybody in business understands that, right? If you offer a free entree to your patron at your restaurant and then they go in there and they realize they got to buy another entree to get that entree for free, they always do. Right? Does that make sense? It's the same exact concept, okay? It's the same exact concept. So you want to think, what is it that you can offer your customers for free that's of high value to them, and sell the sizzle on it. And this is a short message, so you can use this for your, for your voicemail or for the greeting to get them to leave a message. Does everybody like this? Does this seem like something that you can use? If you don't like it, just put a I don't like it. I want to hear. I'm just curious if anybody thinks that they wouldn't do this. Okay, good. Nobody said no. All right, I just want to make sure. Yeah, Alfred says you don't like it. Okay, that's great, Alfred. I'd love to hear why you don't, and if you don't like it, that's fine. I'm just curious, but the method itself will get you quality leads. It'll get people that are interested in talking to you. Now, if you said something else, says it seems slim shady. Okay, so tell me, Alfred, what about the method do you think is shady? It's sales, right? Every single thing, this is marketing, every single thing on this message is designed to get them to leave their name and number. Okay? You're not going to take advantage of anybody. You're giving them the full mobile website. Of course, they have to make their investment. Okay? All right. So anyways, let's move on. Taking calls or follow-up. Okay? So first of all, when you get your calls, I seriously, highly suggest that you number one, are prepared. Okay? Don't start doing this until you're prepared to take the calls, and use a script. We gave you a script. You should have already had it, should have already downloaded it. Okay? But be prepared and be ready to take those calls and use a script. Now, when I say use a script, I mean follow it. Don't just have it in front of you and then when they get on the phone say whatever you want. I've done sessions where we've driven live phone calls to people and had them take the calls, and I've watched people sit there with a script and go off on their own and not be successful, and then I've seen people where they follow the script and they're getting appointments and they're getting sales. Okay, so I know it works. You just have to follow it. If it didn't work, I wouldn't give you the script. Okay. Number two, use Hot Prospector for follow-ups. We have automation built in, and I'll go into that and show you how it works. But use the automation that we've built for your follow-ups. So you can send out emails and text messages and voicemails as follow-ups to get somebody back on the phone or whatever. Okay. Third thing is schedule a presentation. Don't expect everybody to buy on the first call. Okay. You're not trying to persuade them. Now, normally this is hard for me to say because I'm a one-call closer. For most things, that's what I'm going to do. But in some cases, when it comes to web services, you're going to have to schedule a presentation or you're going to have to schedule some time to go over whatever it is that you're going to do for them. And then after you do that, schedule that presentation, you want to make sure that at the end of the presentation, you ask for the sale. And as a matter of fact, I'm also going to ask for the sale before I schedule the appointment. So I usually, and it's on the script, if I could show you a way where you can, triple your investment or whatever, would you be willing to invest $5,000 in your business? Whatever, okay? It's on the script. The reason why we do that is because it's like, I want to make sure that I'm not wasting my time or theirs. Because if we don't have an opportunity to earn their business, then there's no point in me scheduling a presentation to go over anything with them. Let's see here. Keith says, what about out of state? I don't know what you mean. If you're talking about, can you do a presentation out of state? Yeah, join.me. It's free. Join.me. You can do a screen share and show them your screen, and they can see everything right there live like it's happening right there. Someone said TeamViewer. TeamViewer is okay too. There's actually, somebody even showed me one recently where they don't have to download anything. There's a ton of them, but just do a screen share. There's so many free tools out there nowadays. There's no need to be in person, live, right in front of each other. That actually helps a lot. You don't have to sign up for GoToWebinar or anything like that. It costs money. This is free. Okay. Let's see here. Just looking at some of the questions. We're going to go in here and more of the questions in a second. Ask for the sale. We talked about that. Don't forget to get some referrals. This is huge. After you get their business, ask them. Don't actually tell them to give you 3 referrals. Don't ask them, can I have some referrals? Just say, now, give me 3 businesses that you think also can use these services. Who's the first one? Just like that. If you say it that way, then at the end, they're going to be like, because you just basically didn't give them an option to say, no, I'm not going to give you any referrals. You just said, now I'm sure you know 3 people that would be perfect for this. Who's the first one that you can think of? I'm going to give them a call and say you said to call. All right? And just have your pen and paper out and ready to start writing them down. And you'll be, what's funny is, what's funny about that is that they'll just start telling you the name. Well, John, okay, great. What's John's number? Okay? That's my my referral. That's a good way to double your business, off of every deal you get. You just call up after you got your first few sales. You call up and say, "Hey, John told me," I was just meeting with John. We just put together his web quote, and he loved the pricing that we were giving him, and he thought it would be great. He said that you also need a new website, so I'm just calling you up. I'm going to put together a quote for him. I want to put one together for you, and we can, you guys can both brag about your new websites. Okay? Ben says, smooth. Thank you. Okay, so anyways, we're going to get into more of this detail that I just talked about here in the next 2 sessions, but I wanted to give you guys a little something to keep you, if you're starting today, and I know some people don't like to wait until the end of the training before they get started. I want to make sure if you're starting today that you have something to keep you on track. Okay? So, any final questions? Mark says, I never got the script that was promised under the first video at the time of purchase. No download link. Will you leave it there? I was just being funny how I said it. The script actually was something I gave it away on the webinar. Let me pause this real quick and I'll just grab a link for you. If you missed it, oops. Okay. Here you go, Mark. I just sent it to you, and everybody should be able to see it. It's mark-helton.com/OAPTemps. And I also sent out some emails with stuff that some people were saying they weren't getting, so make sure you check your spam. I don't think it's going to spam, but if you did, then, Belinda's asking, how do I get the 3.23 version, the 3.923 of Hot Lead Finder. I showed that in my video, and I also mentioned on the video that that's our specific version, so it's not a version that I'm sharing, not at least right now, mainly because we do test things out and that sort of thing. So the link that you got, yeah, the 0.21 is good. You know, that's the most recent version. If we do an update, though, you guys will all get it. It automatically prompts you for an update. When you load the Hot Lead Finder up, it'll say, hey, we have an update available. And then it asks if you want to download it. You say yes, and then it'll reopen, and there you go. Okay? Let's see here. Mark, thank you. Okay, Jolynn, do you have a replay for a webinar about offering web services in general? You know, Jolynn, I'm not specifically sure what you mean. Are you talking about, like, can you clarify that about what you're looking for so I know? Lamar, I missed the first 40 minutes. Is there a replay? Yeah, there'll be a replay for sure. Talking about phones, Vancouver is a mess. Can I talk to your support on my Skype? Well, we're going to go through setup here. I want you guys to not have to get on the phone with support about this, because remember, we just brought on over 100 customers, like, I don't even know how many, but a lot, really quickly. So if you want to get the fastest support, this is the place to be, right here. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to dig in. If you're missing, like, logins and stuff like that, then you want to hit support. But if, you know, you want to get on the phone with somebody and talk to them, not a good idea. We're not, what do you call it, Amazon or PayPal or something like that, and have hundreds of people sitting by to take your calls. That ain't going to happen. As much as I'd love to do it, that ain't going to happen. So please, please, please use the tickets. Do not expect to talk to somebody about this. Not right now, okay? All right, so I'm logged into Hot Prospector, okay? When you first log in, okay, support@hotprospector.com. Somebody asked, what's the support link? Support@hotprospector.com. Very easy. Also down here at the bottom, matter of fact, I'm going to log out. When you it looks like chat's not live, but if you're not able to log in, here's where you would do that. So we've got this this live chat, which is not live right now. Maybe they're on break, but just go ahead and put in your email address and then whatever your problem is, and they'll get it and they'll respond to you. Okay. If you are able to log in and you have questions, then you want to open up a ticket. Oh, someone's asking. Sorry, let me unpause my screen. All right, let me do this again. So everybody here, I'm on hotprospector.com, okay? And when I click on this little button down here, the live support, or live offline support, or live support offline, you got an email. Put in your email address, put in your question, hit email. Now, typically, the chat will pop up here, and you'll be able to see, talk to somebody and support that way. All right, so I'm going to log in to my account. Now, when you first log in, if you have not gotten credits yet, you'll see up here it should say 0 in the center area here. Okay, so you'll see emails here, you'll see credits here. This will be all zeros because you haven't sent anything out, so you wouldn't have any voicemails or text message responses or anything like that. Okay, but this right here, if this says 0, that means we haven't added your credits yet. Jasmine's been, while we've been on this webinar, working real hard to get everybody's credits added. So if you haven't gotten them yet, you know, you could send her a message to let her know, but she'll get to it. I would say at least by the end of the day. It's just a lot of you, so she's trying to keep up. And she's off on Saturdays and Sundays, even though she does jump in and do some stuff and answer some tickets here and there. She's off on Saturdays and Sundays. So that's part of the reason why that this wasn't already done, because a lot of this happened during the weekend, okay? But anyway, so that's that. Now, if you see warning messages, there'll be errors like red boxes that appear here above these little dashboard items, and one of them should say something about email, and you know, the other one would say your SMS number is not set up and something else if you didn't have credits and you didn't purchase your number. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure you have credits. The second thing you want to do is you want to go in here and set up your email settings. Okay. Now there's a little red error box will pop up, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to do the same exact thing. Okay. But when you come to this area here, you just want to start your email setup. Okay. Now if you are not very technical, it's very simple, really. All you have to do is just put in your domain and then set up your DNS settings. But if you don't understand that, you can just contact your host, and they'll set this up. Now, this is a one-time thing, and what this does, these DNS records verify that you own your domain. So that way, if for some reason, you're sending out spam or something like that, we can suspend that domain. It doesn't affect a bunch of other people. Amy says, do we need to buy a domain to use the email? Well, you should have a domain. If you're selling web services and you don't have your own domain, that's not good. Go buy a domain. If you have your own website, you're just using a subdomain of that website. So you can see here I put in nh.hotprospector.com, and then I just put in my DNS settings. Okay, but you don't need a domain specifically for this. This is just whatever email, whatever you want your @domain to come from. Belinda says, I don't have a website, and I've known you for a long time, Belinda. That shocks me. Domains are $10, guys. Go buy one. I mean, it doesn't have to have a website on there, but you shouldn't be sending emails from a domain that doesn't have a website. If somebody goes to check out who that was, and you're trying to sell them a website without a domain, that's not good. If you're trying to sell them SEO without a domain, that's not good. That's why with our resellers, one of the first things we do is we give you guys a website, because, then you'll have a website. Okay. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. But that's the first thing you want to do is set up your email. The next thing you want to do is you're going to want to go into your profile right here, and then you're going to want to set up your main number and everything. That's all this is a one-time thing. Now, if you ever get confused about anything, see here, right here, where it says knowledge base. If you click on the knowledge base, it's going to show you all these videos. Now, we're updating these always. There's a lot of new features that aren't here yet. By the end of this, by the end of the year, these will all be updated. But this will still get you through mostly everything that you need to know. Okay. If you ever get lost and you don't want to watch this entire webinar again to find out what you missed, go in here and look at these knowledge base videos. They're very helpful, and Jasmine put those together for you guys. Okay. All right. So that's that. I'm not going to talk about any more of the technical mojo stuff, but just getting your account set up the very first time, that's the hard part. Okay. Once it's set up, it's good. Anna says, should we use our regular email? I don't know what you mean by regular email. I use the system to send my emails. No, you do not use Gmail, and you cannot verify Gmail as your domain. And there was some changes that happened recently with Gmail, where if you're sending your emails through Gmail, you're just going to go to spam, flat out. They are looking at your headers, your email headers, to see who you're sending from. And if you're sending from an email other than Gmail, which if you're sending from this system, it would be sending from another domain. And if you're using your Gmail as your from email, then it's going to automatically just go to spam. It won't even go to spam. They'll just block you. That's worse than spam. It's like you're ghosted. Never happened. Okay? So you want to talk about getting a 0 open rate? There you go. Okay? And you can see we get decent open rates with our system. And if you set this up and you send your emails, you're going to get a decent open rate. Okay? Yeah, someone says unless you're using Google Apps, which is not the same as Gmail. Okay. Well, look, Anna brought up an important point, which we're going to get into in the future here, but she says, my email is anna.ashmore@webtexasnexus or whatever, but I don't want to be blacklisted. So do I use info at the, no. Look, you get blacklisted from doing stupid stuff. I send emails, cold emails from my domain, Hot Prospector. My domain's worth way more than any of your guys' websites. Trust me. I got thousands and thousands of views, users using the system. My IP address is very important. So if I was scared, I wouldn't be doing it. Okay, so you would get blacklisted if you do dumb stuff. Meaning, first of all, and I promised I wasn't going to go through all this, but first of all, bulkemailchecker.com, it's very cheap. Any list that you grab from Hot Lead Finder, you better take that list and run it through here first. If you don't, you will 100% guarantee you get your email domain not blacklisted, but suspended through our system. Okay, you have to clean your list. It's cheap. Look, 25,000 email validations cost $24. You load them into the system. They will check your emails, and let's say out of 25,000 emails, let's say you load in 1,000 or 2,000, and out of that, let's say half of them are bad, then you only email to the ones that are good. It'll give you like a good, unknown, or bad, right? Good, bad, or unknown. And you just email to the good. Don't email to the unknown, because you're not going to get an open. You're not going to get a response. So what's the point of emailing it? The higher your response, the higher your open rate, the better your delivery rates are going to be. Okay. So, anyways, go to bulkemailchecker.com. It's $24 for 25,000 emails. And again, do not send any emails until you clean it. Okay. So, Mark, is your system sending the email, or is it our domain? It's our system, but we are sending it through your domain with our IP address, right? So if anybody gets affected, it's not your domain that gets affected, it's our IP address that gets affected. Now, we're whitelisted and all that good stuff. You just got to make sure you're not doing anything stupid, or else you're going to lose your account. It's not even something we do. It's automatic. If you get a bounce rate over a certain percentage, just bam, your account's suspended to protect everybody else. So for those of you that are nervous about this getting suspended, it will get suspended if you're doing stuff that's not smart. Okay, and we'll get into more of the email stuff later, but just something to keep in mind. That's the very first thing you need to do, is make sure your list does not have, what the heck? Can't do anything here. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so anyways, let's get back into the system here. Okay, so how do you set up a campaign? All right, the very first thing that you want to do is you want to set up an inbound campaign. So you go in here to where it says inbound. Now you got to have your phone number set up, everything first, and you're going to have to purchase a phone number. Once you do that, you're going to go in here to inbound campaign. Actually, you can purchase a number here. If you go into settings, see where it says manage phone number, you can buy a phone number there. You just click on it, manage phone number. It'll take you here. You can type in the area code you want. Say you want a 702 area code. Something's wrong with my computer. It's not typing. All right, I'm having trouble typing. I think my keyboard died. Anyways, you would type your area code in here, click fetch results, and then it would pull a list, and you just select the one you want, and then you click on purchase number. It comes off your credits, and then it's added to your list of numbers. Now, once you do that, you'll come over here to inbound. You're going to click on new campaign, and then you're going to type in the name of the campaign, select the group that you want those contacts to be added to when they call in. So what happens with our system is automatically when a call comes in, it's stored as a new contact, okay? Or if there's already an existing contact, it'll like mark the system that you got that call. So what I do is I set up two separate groups, one group that has my leads in it, and then another group that tracks my inbound calls. So that way I can track who's calling me back. Okay, so you might call it inbound leads. Okay, so you got that group set up. You select your phone number. all these additional fields here that you see, these are fields that I added. You'll have your standard fields, but if you want to add more fields, you can. And then down here, this is where you select if you want voicemail notifications when a call comes in, sent to your email, or a voicemail notification sent to your text message. I don't have these on because, man, my phone gets blown up, my email gets blown up with voicemail notifications. Call recording. If you turn the call recording off, it won't record your calls, obviously. But if you have it on, you pay a higher rate for your call per minute, inbound and outbound. So just keep in mind, if you don't need call recording, to leave it off. Contact added automatically. Now remember, I was telling you we add the contact automatically. If you select yes, it'll do that. If you select no, it won't do that. And you'll have to play with the system to decide whether or not you want it to do that or not. Incoming SMS notification, if you select yes, every time that somebody sends you a text message, you don't have to be logged into your system. It'll send you a text message to whatever number that you put in here, and then you can have a conversation from your cell phone. They don't have to have your number, but you can have a conversation with them like via a little web browser that it sends you, okay? Tom, my suggestion, get rid of it. I don't know what to say. This extension is bad news. I'm using Chrome pop-up, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to say. If that's the case, then we're not able to protect, or not able to determine every single thing that you might use to be able to do that. I apologize, it sucks, but you're gonna have to shut that off if it's that restrictive. Okay, so then we got that. Let's see here. Incoming SMS notification. Here you just select that you understand the disclaimer. Now here you see these assigned tos. Yours won't say this if you don't have any team members. That's just for people who have like extra people in their account, but you can purchase team members here. Okay. Then you click submit. Now once you've created that campaign, what will happen is the screen will pop up, and normally I'd show you this, but my keyboard just died, so I can't type. But call log, oops, sorry, go back here. Okay, so let's pretend that I had created this campaign already, right? So the first thing that would happen after I created the inbound campaign is it would automatically direct you to this screen, okay? Now the very first time that you saw this, I'm going to remove this here. My computer is going haywire. Anyways, this area right here is where you can, yeah, you know, the problem is I don't know if it's my browser or if it's my my keyboard, because it seems like it just died, like it's not working right. I can't close Windows. I think Google Chrome just took a kapooey, because now I can't even close this window. Let me. Bear with me, guys, for 1 second. Oh, that's why. Okay, sorry about that. My Google Calendar just took over my computer. Okay, now I got everything back. Okay, good. So I had a calendar invite that was stopping me. So anyway, so I just, when this pops up, this is what you'll see. Just a plain generic flow, okay? So when you see this plain generic flow, there's nothing here, right? There's no flow yet. It's empty, okay? So here's where you could decide what you wanted to do. So remember the campaign where I was telling you we wanted to have a greeting first? That's what you would do. You just drag the greeting over, and then you can load up your audio message, and whatever you put in here in this greeting, they will hear first, right? It goes in order. So whatever you drag in here is going to be what they hear first. So now they've heard the greeting. Well, let's say that I wanted to transfer to my cell phone after they hear the message. Just drag over dial, and then here I can type in my cell phone number, 702-555-1212. Okay? And then, oops, that's not my cell phone number. There we go. All right. Now, this timeout here, This means like how long it'll ring before it stops. Now, if you want the phone to your cell phone to pick up all your voicemails, then you would have this timeout longer. Okay. If you don't, if you want the voicemail to go to this system, if you don't answer, then you want this to be shorter. You want it to be before your cell phone voicemail would pick up if you're on the phone. Okay. Eric, if you haven't gotten that yet, just support@hotprospector.com. We'll get to you. I promise. We're not blowing you off, Eric. It's just we're blown up with people right now, so you're gonna have to be a little patient, but we'll get you set up. Okay. But yeah, so this will dial the number directly. So here's what would happen in this flow, and if you click on Show Flow, if you ever get confused, well, I guess I'm just having some issues with my browser still. But anyways, it'll go down this line. So first what happens is the greeting. Then it goes to the line that you have it transferred to. Okay? So I'm going to show you. Let me remove these. So that's the transfer. That's the greeting, then transfer. Let's say you just wanted a voicemail. Boom. Just select voicemail, load up your audio greeting, and then, that's it. And what will happen is the call will come in, they'll hear that greeting, and then they'll be prompted to leave a voicemail. That's it. That's how that flow works. Now, let's say you have a sales team, and you want to have a sales team on board. Okay. First thing, you want to go in here to inbound and create a caller group. Okay. A caller group allows you to add multiple team members into a group to receive calls. So we're going to say, we'll call this sales test. Now, in order for you to see these team members down here, you have to have multiple team members assigned to your system for this to work. Okay? So this is only for people who have team members set up already. Okay? Now, once you've set up the call group, then you can go, let me go back into this flow. And you, again, do what you want to do. So let's say you want to have a greeting. They hear a message, hi, thank you for calling. Please hold for the next available agent, right? And then you can drag over multiple. And multiple gives you the ability to select that call group. So here's our sales test call group that we just selected. And you can say, I want it to ring all my numbers or just this one or whatever. Okay. Now this is, again, only for people who have sales groups, or if you want to take your own calls inside of the web browser, you'll have to do this. Okay. So if you want to do the web browser calls and you want to answer your calls here live, then you're going to do what I just did. You don't have to have the greeting. You can have it go straight to a web browser. I'm just showing you options. Is everybody understanding, or did I just like lose everyone because you're all quiet? I'm not complaining about the quiet. I just want to make sure you understand. If I went through it clearly enough, and don't expect to absorb everything on this one call. You may have to go in and play with it a little bit and understand it. Someone says, does it cost extra to add a group? No. Ben says, yeah, powerful. Thank you. Can't see how you got to call flow, Mark says. Yeah, probably. Let me see if I can zoom in. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Bingo. So here is this, if you mouse over it, this little first icon, it says call flow. You can't see that little tip that pops up, but if I click on that, that's what I was looking at. I'm all zoomed in now, but that's that. Okay? Mark, you are now fully up and running. We are close. I just need to tie in the API, Tony. We're working to do that, like I said, first part of January. See here. As long as there is a recording, we're good to refer. Yep, awesome. Johnny says, I hear this 1,000 times, always good to learn something new. Great. Okay, so everybody understands how to set up an inbound campaign. That's the easy, it's all easy. This is really simple, okay? Once you've set up your inbound campaign, then now the next part, which is loading your list, okay? So loading your list, Amber says, for legal purposes, when the call is being recorded, does the caller receive any audio notification when the call is recorded? If you record it on your greeting, so or you don't have to have an automated greeting that says, all calls are recorded for quality assurance purposes, but you need to tell them. So if you're the type of person that forgets, you might want to have it in your greeting, but you know, you have to tell them if you're recording the calls, if you're recording the calls, and you're not going to tell them on the phone. And you have to tell them within like the first, I think it's 15 seconds or something. So you answer the phone. Hi, thank you for calling ABC Company. This is Amber. All calls are recorded for quality assurance purposes. Okay. Is there a fast start checklist, maybe a PDF? I'd like to use this to set up campaigns. You know, Greg, we don't have a PDF, but we do have these little videos in the knowledge base with some PDF screenshots, or not PDF, but screenshots. So, you know, you're probably going to find like what you're looking for in here. But again, this is so intuitive. You just got to know where to go. If you know, you first got to set up an inbound campaign, go into campaign list, or just click add campaign. Do what I just did. You click add campaign, name it, select the group, select your phone number. If you want to add additional fields, you can, right? You go in here. If you want to have most voicemail notifications, you set that up. Turn your recordings on and off or whatever you want to happen here. Check this box and click submit. You're done. Then it'll automatically take you. Now, right now it's not doing it because, well, here, actually, now I can do it because I have control again. Watch. Test. I'll show you how quick you can set up a group. Or a campaign. Ready? Bam. So once I click submit, voila, it takes me to the call flow, and here I can select what I want to happen. So if you're just like me, most of the time I just select dial, put in my cell phone number, select 30 seconds, save, okay, or actually if I want the voicemail to go to the system, I select 15 seconds, save, okay, done. Inbound campaign set up, next. Now the reason why I do it that way, when I do it, is because I just want the calls to come to me. And then any missed calls will get answered by the system, they'll go to voicemail. Okay, oh, shoot, but one thing I forgot to tell you, if you're going to do this and you want the calls to go to the system, you better set up a voicemail. So you could do text to speech, that's a bad idea. I suggest recording and uploading an audio. That's it. It's so easy to do. I mean, you could have a voicemail inbound campaign set up in a minute, you know, if you have the recording already set up. Okay? All right, so that's the inbound campaign. So next thing is loading a list. Okay? You're going to go in here to your contact manager. Actually, no. You're going to mouse over contacts. You're going to click on import. Of course, I can't see it. There it is. And then here's where you import. Now, first thing is you select the group that you want your list to go into. If you're a segmenter and you want to segment all your lists, you're going to want to add those groups before you come into here. You just go in here to groups and tags. You can add all the groups you want. Okay. Anyways, once you go to put the leads in here, you just select the group you want the leads to go into, and you load your CSV. Now, CSV files. This is very important. Okay. You cannot have stray commas and stuff like that in your, you know, like characters that would cause your CSV to think that there's extra rows and columns. Let me see if I can actually give you an example. Pull a list. This is a list real quick, okay, with the hot lead finder. I'm going to export it. We're going to call this test list. Okay. Now, on this test list, oh, I'm in the wrong area. Here we go. Now, I'm going to open this up in Notepad so you can see what I'm talking about. So, you got all these commas, okay? If you notice, check this out. You see up here this little stray, and you may not be able to see it if you don't zoomed in enough, but there's these stray quotes symbols that are popping up, and I might not be calling that right. These things can cause problems in your when you upload a file. Okay, those are a problem. So what I do is I open up my file. Okay, And first thing I do is so this is the file that I just exported, okay? I first go in and I select all the fields that I want, and then I hit Control F on Excel, and I go to the replace, and then I'm going to type in first comma, and then I'm going to hit replace all. And see that? I just put the comma and replace with nothing, and that took out all those commas. Now these commas, when I loaded that file into the system, would have caused the file to load improperly. Okay? So you want to do this. This is nothing we can do. We can't do anything about it. This is a computer thing. This is a language. CSV stands for comma separated value. So if you want to make sure your lists get loaded properly, you have to understand anything that could be misconstrued as a delimiter on your file could cause your file to go out of whack and not load properly. Okay. The next one here is this colon, if you see it there. Now I know from doing this for a long time that whenever you have an and sign, it gets turned in the ampersand, it gets turned into that, and AMP colon. So I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to turn it into just AND and replace all. And then you'll notice it changed it, okay? You can also, go in and just look for like the normal characters, the colons, replace all. Look at that, it made a bunch of, or semicolon, whatever one has that comma thing at the bottom with the dot at the top. Quotes, replace all, right? There wasn't any in there. But that's it. You want to clean up those special characters first, because if you don't, then your file won't load properly. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that? I know that sounds like complicated, but it's really not. Just open it up in Excel, Control F, make sure you at least take out the commas and the semicolons. The commas and the semicolons are the most important. So just hit comma, replace all, right? And colon, or semicolon, whatever those are called. I always get those two mixed up. But the one that has a dot at the top of the comma at the bottom, replace all. That's it. If you do that, your file will be clean, and you shouldn't have any problems loading it up. And also, too, I usually take an opportunity while I'm doing this, depending on how big my list is, to look at these websites, to decide. Like, for example, I wouldn't even bother loading these ones into my list because they're all toll-free numbers anyways, and there's no emails. So what's the point? Cool? All right, that's that. So once you have the list, actually, let me just save it. Once you have the list loaded up, then you just go ahead and test. Just go ahead and select it. We're going to type in test list that I just loaded, and click submit. And then here you map your field. So this first thing here is the company name on that list. I don't have so owner, category. Actually, this is stuff too that you can always delete if you don't have information in there. But anyways, that's it. You just map up the fields. I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to find out what these things are. But so that's the address. There's your zip. There's your phone. I usually put the phone into the mobile field just because sometimes it's the text message and I'm going to text it. Here's the website, and there's the email. You don't have to select everything. Whatever you leave as selected blank like that, it won't upload. And then you just click submit. Okay? So once you click submit, then it will load up into the system automatically. And automatically. Why am I having so much trouble today? Oh, hold on a second. I think I'm still on Zoom. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having some issues today. But anyways, once you load your list into the system, that's it. So you got your list loaded. Next thing that you want to do is you want to set up your voicemail campaign. Okay, so it's just three things: inbound, load your list, and then your voicemail campaign, okay, and also your emails as well, okay? But we're going to do the voicemail first because it's really easy. Okay, so we're going to go in here to manage broadcast voicemail. You're going to click on add voicemail. You're going to name it, select the group that you loaded your contacts into, put in your caller ID, and then select the voicemail that you recorded earlier. And then here you have this throttle where you can select how many calls you want to go out. You know, if you want 50 calls to go out every 15 minutes, you know, whatever, you could select how fast you want it to dial. So if you select 500 every 15 minutes, it's going to go real fast. I say dial, that's just habit. It's not dialing anything, it's dropping. But, you know, here you have that option to throttle it down so you're not getting too many responses too quickly, okay? Now don't think, you know, you can leave it at 50 every 15, because remember, this is only going to drop messages on numbers that are either a cell phone or a voice over IP or something like that. So that's, you know, my personal preference is, if it's just me, I'm probably going to keep it at least 250 every 15 minutes, and I can handle that. If you got a list of a couple thousand in there, you're probably going to drop like, it's probably only going to drop at about a 15 to 20% ratio, depending on the niche that you're targeting. If you get less than that, it's just the niche. It's not the system's not broken. It's just whatever you selected doesn't have a lot of voicemails that you can deliver to. That's all. Okay. Now this tool is really, really good for consumers. If you're targeting consumers, it's going to be like 40, 50%. When you're contacting businesses, it's just not going to be as high. Okay. So that's it. Once you select that, click submit, and then it'll automatically create the campaign. Now you can also schedule your campaign to start at a specific time. So if you wanted to start tomorrow at a specific time, and you click submit, and then it'll be ready to go whenever you are ready to take your calls. Okay. We also have something here called time constraints. So you can actually set up times of the day if you've got like a large list in here and you've got a throttle set, where it'll only send until a certain time that it stops. And then whatever was left over that it didn't send, it'll start again the next day at the time that you specified. Does everybody understand that? Again, it's getting quiet. I know it's probably because you guys are just absorbing, but this is just, you know, I'm just kind of going through some of the features. This tool is very, very powerful. You guys literally, this is going to help you a lot. It just may take a couple of hours for you to figure everything out the first time around. Is everybody here? Can you hear me still? Oh boy, I think I lost you. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Okay, I must have put everybody to sleep. Did I lull you to sleep? Okay, so that's the voicemail. Okay, once you click submit, it's good to go. Now, something I want to show you that I think is really cool, and you want to consider using this. I use it a lot. It's called broadcast and follow-ups. Now, the difference between this managed broadcast and the broadcast and follow-ups is, and this is cool. Now, it doesn't have the throttle on here, which means it's going to send them all out at once, but it does give you the ability to follow up with people who do not respond. And it'll keep on sending these messages. It'll keep on sending these messages until somebody responds or until you run out of messages, whichever comes first. Okay. Now this is for people that are, you know, like kind of able to geek out on this. You don't have to do this. Okay. This is just something that I do because I know that if I hit somebody 3 or 4 times, not with the same message, but with different messages, hey, it's Mark, I haven't heard back from you yet. Hey, Mark, one more time, just wanted to give you a quick call, I haven't heard. Hi, this is Mark, one last time, you know, that kind of thing. I'm going to get a much bigger response, and I don't have to always be out looking for new leads. The point of this game is not to go out and find more leads. The point of this game is to get the right leads and keep getting in touch with them until they contact you. That's why this system is so powerful. Okay, Joe Lynn says, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Hope these instructions are very clear and short sound bites in the help section. They are, but the reason why you're overwhelmed is because you're watching me go through all kinds of stuff that I've done since I've built the system, okay? Once you play with it yourself and you're not watching, it's different, you know? It just takes time. How does the system know, Ishwar says? Good question, okay? See how I've got this inbound campaign here? The difference between the other campaign and this campaign is you're going to send your calls through one of your inbound campaigns. So that inbound campaign, let's say we set up earlier, whenever you put in here your caller ID is actually going to be the same number, 702-664-8993, right? So here, automatically, when somebody calls back through this campaign, it's going to track that their call came through, and it's going to take them off the list to hear more voicemails after, you know, any of these messages that you sent out the first time, okay? So watch, I'll show you. Test. We'll select a group. Future voicemails. I'm going to select no, because if I select yes, they'll still keep getting voicemails even if they did call back. But if I select no, they won't get future voicemails if they did call back, okay? I can schedule the time and date, so let's go ahead and schedule this for 4 o'clock today or 3:45. We'll just put a fake message in here for right now. I've read, and then click submit. Okay, now this campaign's set up. Now here, this campaign, I can add as many broadcast files to it as I want. So if I want to do my follow-up, let's say tomorrow at 9:45 a.m., I can load my follow-up message in here. Oops. Okay. And then click submit. Oops, I have a WAV file. There we go. So now I have 2 messages in this campaign. So the first message goes out today at 3:45. The second message goes out tomorrow at 9:45. But because I have it going through this inbound campaign, right, if they call back, it automatically knows, hey, that person called back. So the second message that I have scheduled to go out tomorrow, they won't get it. Only the people who didn't call back. Does that make sense? Does everybody like that? So this is cool, so you never forget the follow-up, because the problem is most people forget the follow-up. So this is just setting your follow-ups up and then automatically removing the ones that did, okay? That's it. So broadcast and follow-ups is for, you know, remember, there's just no throttle on that. It just automatically blasts them all out, which if you have smaller groups, it's not a big deal. Just set up a small group of 1,000, you know, so you can handle the responses, okay? Okay, so that's that. So that's voicemail. Very easy. Keith says that only works if they call back from the number you called them on, right? Yes. I mean, well, it only works if you have it going through your inbound campaign. Because if you have them calling your cell phone, it's not going through our system, so we don't know if they called, right? If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? Same thing works with this. If you have the calls going outside of our system, we have no way to know. So you got to send them through that inbound campaign. Kathy, do you go over voice drops? Do they work better than emails? I don't know what you mean. Do I go over voice drops? And do they work better than emails? Yeah, I get a higher response on my voice drops than I do off of my emails. Absolutely, 100%. I do. Because voice drops goes right to their phone, and in an email they have to open it and read it and take an action. And my message for my voice drop works really, really well. Keith says, right, but they also have to call from the same number we broadcast to in order to take them out of the campaign, right? Yes. And again, that's just, we don't know if they called from a different number, if it's related to them, 100%. And most of the time, people don't do that. They don't get a call on their cell phone, voicemail, and then pick up the line and call. Now, does it happen? Yes, but it's the exception, not the rule. So, 100%. I agree with what your statement is there. What does inbound call recording do? Inbound call recording. Inbound call recording. It records all your calls. So if you go over here to your call report, okay, any calls, you see how this says, you know, the call, the time, the to, from, and then, you know, listen to the recording or download the recording in the second. Like, that's what that does. If you turn on inbound call recording, it records your calls that come through. So you can record all your calls. That's all it does. Same thing for outbound call recording, but we're not going to get into that today. Can we use the numbers from Hot Lead Finder to use on broadcast campaign? Yeah, absolutely. I do it all the time. But again, what is important, if you remember earlier on in the training that we did, I mentioned that it's the niche. You know, some niches that aren't considered like a small business, you may not deliver very high response. You may not get a high delivery rate, which doesn't matter. I mean, you can get more leads. It's not the end of the day, end of the world. If you got to get 10,000 leads to be able to deliver 1,000 messages and they're free, does it matter? No. But just realize that you're going to have to put through more if you're calling certain types of niches. Like consultants, you know, consultants, those are typically people who own their own business or usually like individual, like a consultant. Now, there are consulting firms, but you're going to get a much higher amount of people that are consultants. See that? Look at all these business consultants. Okay? You know, there's just different types. You just got to use your logic when you're doing this. Think about it. You know, is it a niche that's going to have a high amount of people that are responding based off of? I'm sorry. Are they going to have a high percentage of people who have their own small business, or are they going to be the other way around? Are they going to be like answered by secretaries and stuff like that? Okay, Belinda. You know, there's certain things in here that we don't do. Let me just tell you, this we have not updated this in about a year. We haven't added a new feature. We probably will here in the future, but there's certain things that we'll probably take out, like deal sites. That's Groupon. We'll take it out. Manta, we're not getting that greater response from Manta to where it's like it's any different than the Yellow Pages. So we probably won't. There's just certain things that just no need to keep. And if I do an update, I just won't add them. Directory 1 and Directory 2 are my favorite. That's Google and Yellow Pages. Anything else, you know, they were good ideas at the time, but they're just not anymore. David, it's in your email. I'm just putting it in here for you. I put it in the wrong link, but you should be able to see it there up at the top right. mark-schultz.com/hot-lead-finder-download. Okay? Okay, guys, so that's all I'm going to cover today. I don't want to go into email today because we've already been on here for 2 hours, and I want people to get like too overwhelmed. Okay? If I go into more, it's just going to give you more to think about. So just let me recap. Okay? For those of you that are like swimming in your brain right now going, oh no, I don't know what to do. Okay, I wish I had a notepad open that I can shoot. All right, just take notes for a second. All right, take notes. Step number 1, get your system set up. It's not hard. Make sure you have your credits in here. Make sure you've purchased your phone number. Make sure that your email is set up. Your email settings is set up. Make sure you have no errors. Like mine has no error messages. If you have a red box popping up still, clear it. Okay? Do not expect to call support and have her jump on the phone with you because she's busy. Okay? You got to be realistic. Okay? Use the support tickets. Okay? And oh, by the way, live chat is on here. So you can actually chat with somebody here in live chat. Okay, so yeah, just get that stuff set up first. Okay, make sure your whole system's set up and that you see no errors. Once that's done, then set up an inbound campaign. Very easy. Grab a list from Hot Lead Finder. Decide which niche you're going to target. Put it in here. I suggest you start with a few thousand phone numbers. By the way, if you're going to email those people, bulkemailchecker.com. Clean that list before you load it. Verify those emails are real before you load them, because if you get your email, look, here's what's going to happen. If you send out an email through this system and your bounce rate is over, I think it's 2%, you will be suspended, which means we'll have to get you reactivated. But if you get it suspended again, then you could lose your domain and you'd have to start all over again. That doesn't make any sense. Just clean your list, okay? And don't go out sending spammy emails either. We're going to get into that in the future, probably tomorrow, about the kind of emails that you should send out. But don't, just if you're going to send out emails, please, please, please clean your list and then wait until I tell you what kind of emails to send before you start sending out a bunch of emails, okay? So load your list, then create your voicemail drop campaign. That's it. The 4 things, very easy. It'll take you a little bit of time, but once it's all set up, you won't have to do it anymore, okay? Then it's just a matter of setting up new campaigns. Let's see here. Question before you go. Mark, can you please address how to handle the calls from people who thought you were a prospect and realize you're selling something? Well, Eric, that's a good question. How would you handle that? Do you want to come live? I can role play with you real quick. Yeah? Okay, let me do that. So this is for Eric, because he asked a question that I do get people ask to say, well, what happens if they thought you were a prospect? Okay. Hey, Eric, you there?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Okay, Eric. So ring, ring. Hello, this is Mark. Thank you for calling Hot Prospector. How can I help you?
Hey, Mark. I got a message from you saying that you could give me some leads.
Yes, great. I'm
I'm
glad you
just
called me
kidding.
back, Eric. I'm
Just
glad
kidding
you
you,
called me
Mark.
back.
That's the ideal, Brent. That's the ideal message. But what I usually got is more like, yeah, I heard you're looking for a plumber, or I heard you're looking for a... So that's probably more the answer that you would get.
Absolutely, Eric, I am. I'm glad you called. So the reason why I was calling you today was, and then go into your script.
Okay.
That's it.
So when they find out you're not actually a prospect, how do they
Here's what's
react
gonna
usually?
happen. Here's what's going to happen sometimes. Now, here's what's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes. And it's okay, because guess what? Some will, some won't. So what? What's the last part of that?
Who cares?
Next. Right? So if you get on the phone with somebody who is being a complete jerk about the fact that you asked if they can handle some customers, okay, number one, you said your name, you said your company name.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you guys have marketing in your names, okay? So if they can't figure out 1 + 1 is 2, you shouldn't have to spell out in your voicemail, hi, I would like to sell you something, please call me, right?
Cool.
I don't ever have a problem with that. And if I do, somebody's just going to be that way, then they're going to be that way. They're going to get off the phone and I'm going to move on, right? But bottom line, they call and they say what you said. Yeah, you left me a message. You got some customers for me. You know what? That's great. I'm glad you called. Don't even address it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That's great. I'm glad you called, and then go into your script, because what's going to happen is the script will address it.
Okay.
Cool?
Cool. Thank you so much.
No problem, Eric. All right, guys. Does each campaign require its own phone number? Yeah, you don't have to have your own phone number for inbound campaigns, yes, because you can't have 10 different campaigns with the same phone number, that's going to be handled 10 different ways with the same phone number. So you don't have to have a new campaign every time, but for example, you could just have one inbound campaign that you take all your calls on. If you're doing like SEO and stuff, and you're trying to track calls for your customers, and you want to give them all their own number or something like that, but it's not required. Mike, the prospect should be glad to find out after that we can offer multiple leads versus misunderstanding the call was one single prospect. Yeah, exactly. Look, I personally don't, I have very little, not, patience or whatever for this, but if somebody's going to be rude, I'm just going to get off the phone with them. It's no big deal. Next. It's okay. My life isn't going to be destroyed because somebody told me, that, they weren't interested, or they were upset because they thought that I had customers for them, and then they realized that they were going to have to pay something. Wow, imagine that. Something in life isn't free. Welcome to reality. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, guys, look, I really appreciate y'all coming out today. And again, tomorrow, we are going to dig in to a lot more good stuff. And I'll also go into more detail about the email. Just make sure, guys, make sure that if you're going to send emails, I'm going to say it one more time, do not set up your emails tonight and then get them blacklisted tonight. Or not blacklisted, but suspended. Please, please, please use responsibility. Be responsible, okay? Clean your list. I've said it a bunch of times. Clean your list through bulk email checker. It's very cheap, and it'll save us all a bunch of hassle. And, and then again, we'll talk about the types of messages to send tomorrow, okay? Bob, I missed most of this call. Will there be a replay? I'm going to send it to everybody but you, Bob. All right. Okay, guys, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.